The next fireside chat titled Driving Innovation in Food and Water Security Through Entrepreneurship Platforms. We will explore the potential of entrepreneurial platform to drive innovation and address the pressing issues of food and water security. We are honored to welcome our esteemed moderator, Mr. Khaled, and our esteemed panelist, Mr. Hesham Al Jabr, Mr. Hassan Halawy, and Mr. Mohammed Alariefy.
وفي السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Khaled from Miwa. I'm honored to moderate this session titled Driving Innovation in Food and Water Security Through Entrepreneurship Platform. As we all know, food and water security are major challenges these days. So this session will explore how entrepreneurship platforms such as incubators and accelerators are driving innovative solutions and supporting startups. Today, we are honored to have with us three distinguished speakers. Mr. Mohammed Alariefy, he is Assistant Deputy Minister for Entrepreneurship at the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. And also we have Mr. Hassan Halawy, representing First Elite Agro, who brings expertise in agriculture and food security and technology. And also we have Hesham Al Jabr, he's the founder of Tadوير, who specializes in food waste management and circular economy initiatives. So I will start with the government sector with Mr. Mohammed Alariefy. And I just want to know, how does the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology link entrepreneurship with sustainability, especially when we talk about food and water security?
Thank you, Dr. Khaled, and thank you for this opportunity being here on stage with my esteemed colleagues and with yourselves. So the ministry, our key focus is the developing the technology sector. So having a thriving and promising technology sector that serves the vision. So the Vision 2030 has really gave us a laser focus on what sectors to focus on, and all sectors can be digitized and utilizing the different types of technologies, including food and water. So the way we focus on those, so we are sector agnostic, however, having a sustainable impact or sustainability impact would really add value to the potential of success for those startups or technology companies. The way we focus on is starting from policy and regulation, identifying gaps in the policy and regulations and working with the different government and regulators to help pave the way for those startups. Another thing is capacity building, capability building. So access to talent is a key challenge for most of the players in technology field, including water and food sustainability. And that is where we have a full deputyship that is focusing on capacity development, upskilling, reskilling, different programs that help those entities have access to suitable resources. Another focus is the access to financing and funding and different incentive programs, subsidy. So we have the National Technology Development Program, which has served a lot of companies in the food and water security, as well as in the different sustainability and SDGs that the UN is focusing on the global is focusing on. So, and providing them with different types of subsidy, whether it is grant or debt or incentives and perks. Maybe to add a few, and one is very key, is access to market. Awesome. So for this industry to be thriving and successful, they need to have access to market. They need to start generating revenue. With the vision, as I started with, there is a huge drive for demand, especially in the sustainability areas. If we have an example like NEOM, a zero carbon emission project that has significant opportunity for companies to really, once they move from the MVP or the idea stage to accessing the market, they will find great potential market opportunities in those projects. So this is just
awesome.
Shukran.
That's great. And we will move to the private sector. So with Mr. Hesham Al Jabr. So how has Tadweer addressed the food waste management with innovative solutions? And if you can share with us some success stories and its impact.
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Khaled. Let's talk about the challenge of food waste. I want to tell you something. FAO, which is the Food and Agriculture Organization, has ranked Saudi Arabia as number 6 worldwide in food waste. We're talking about 13 million tons of food is wasted every year in Saudi Arabia, according to MIWA report. Let's take Riyadh as an example. Riyadh landfill here received 16,000 tons of general waste every day. Let's imagine, what's the percentage of food? Do you think 20%? 30%? 30. It is 70%. Oh. 70% of materials going to landfills is organic, either food or green, according to Mawan, which is a waste management center. It's a real challenge. We're talking about economical problem, where a huge amount of budget is allocated just to solve the issue. Of course, environmental and social. I think I will quote from Quran, ضرب الله مثلا قرية كانت آمنة مطمئنة يأتيها رزقها رغدا من كل مكان. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give an example of a village which is safe, has an abundance of food and grace, which will be thankful. We should be thankful of that grace. What we have done is we've established our first factory in Dammam to recycle the food waste into compost. This was our solution.
That's great. Nice. Mr. Hassan, based on your experience at First Elite Group, how can agriculture innovation help address food security challenges?
Today, with the unprecedented rise in the population and the diminishing of the natural resources needed for producing food to meet up with the demand, technology is presenting itself as a livelihood or the new area of hope for the food systems around the world to meet up with these challenges, and it's giving us different areas in terms of the advancement of science, whether it's through the AI and machine learning that's giving us optimized solutions to manage our resources efficiently. It's also addressing another critical problem, which is the aging population that we have in the natural producing countries that till today produce up to 70% of our food. And these are the small stakeholder farmers in the traditional countries like India, Africa, who in the last few years, because of the economic unsustainability of agriculture, has seen all the younger population moving from the villages to the cities, leaving the older population to handle the problem of agriculture. So today technology comes in with solutions, utilizing the drones for seeding, weeding, for the spraying of insecticides, helping this elderly generation to maintain this gap, and also attracting again the smaller generation, the younger generation who are tech savvy, who like technology, to go back to the agriculture and make it a less physically burdening industry for them, so that we can revitalize the small stakeholder farmers, which again I stress are extremely important for our food systems, as they still produce 60 to 70% of our food, and they deploy more than 50% of the world population. So this is another area that we're using. The other technologies that are becoming more abundant today is the utilization, for example, of the geospatial imaging, which gives bigger players or bigger corporates a better view of how to manage their resources, how to be more efficient in utilizing their water, utilizing of insecticides, of their fertilizers. And this is also very important to meet the sustainability development goals, so that there will be no overconsumption of water or the over-application of fertilizers and insecticide, by adoption of precision agriculture, so that we can use the exact quantity at the exact location, on spot locations, and manage our resources more efficiently.
Yeah, that's a good. But it's just a valuable question here. Can you share some examples of these technologies that you have seen that has successfully improved food security with the help of entrepreneurship?
There are plenty of them. I don't have a specific one in mind, but I can give you two examples that we've done ourselves. It might not be entrepreneur, but it might be more like entrepreneurship within the organization. And that's another growing field, by the way, and the difference between them is starting to get more clear. So at Elite Agro, last year we had a project with FAO, dedicated for the sustenance of small stakeholder farmers in Liberia. And the way we approached this is we sat down with FAO and said, what are the problems, what are the challenges of these farmers? Said they don't have power, they don't have access to power. They are far from the end user, so there's a huge wastage by the time that the product is produced till it reaches the market. They are also suffering from shortage in irrigation water, and fourth, they don't have agricultural extension services, so because of the remote areas. So we utilized technologies that are available to there. We developed a self-sustaining container box that is fully operating by solar panels. By that, we solved the issue of the electricity. We fitted it with a cold storage unit to maintain the temperature of the produce, so that by the time the trucks come in to pick it up, it's still in a good shape, and we reduced the amount of wastage that's doing. And we fitted it with a precision irrigation system, dripper lines, so that it can irrigate precisely 1 hectare of land, enough to sustain a full family and the village around it. along with fitting it with IoT sensors to get the readings from all these ones so that we can remotely manage and support them, support the operation of the farm. Plus, we gave the farmers on their mobile app a communication network so that they can take a picture and send it to us remotely. So by that, we resolved the issue of the extension services remotely. We resolved the issue of the power, the water, and the cold storage. Thanks to technology and thanks to connectivity, if we did not have access to satellite technology to connect these IoT devices via internet and manage them remotely, we would not have been able to do that. So that's one example. The other example is we developed a cloud application. It's called Agro Cloud. We use it to do geospatial imaging, measuring the vegetative indexes, water indexes of open fields. It's accessible to anyone. They can log in, draw the coordinates of their farm. We can automatically give them the live readings of, not live, but every few hours, depending on the orbit satellite that's coming over the farm. We can give them accurate measuring of the water indexes, vegetative indexes, and we added to that the OpenAI to give them suggestion optimizing the water consumption and a better analysis of what they're doing. Because in many cases, this technology is available, but in many cases, the farmer does not know how to utilize or how to read this information that he's getting. So we help them bridge that gap in making it easier for them to understand what is he reading. Now, I see in the couple of years, once we start getting more data, training more our machine learning models and AI, we can get more accurate results to give it a higher level of efficiency.
Yeah, that's great. And with the digital technology, I will move to the government sector. So, Mr. Mohammed, what program or platforms are being developed to support the startups in water and food areas? And also, how do digital platforms help them succeed?
So thank you. So if I want to just give like a journey of the entrepreneurship ecosystem and our role in it, especially with key focus on water and food. So we in the ministry we have the Center of Digital Entrepreneurship, so CODE. So they call the Center of Digital Entrepreneurship, which is focusing on 4 main areas. First area is widening the funnel. So looking at the key objective is increasing investment activities. So because our key mandate is to develop the technology sector and increase the GDP contribution from the technology sector. So to do that, we're focusing on the activities which shows the job creation in the tech sector and the investments. So having that in mind, this North Star, we want to widen the funnel. So we have more companies that would potentially help us achieve our objectives. From awareness to ideation to startup development and incubation to acceleration to investable startups. And that would just make it faster to succeed and faster to fail and try again. So that's one key focus, and that's increasing the pipeline. Second function that we have is growth. So we have a specific unit that is only focusing on startup growth, dealing with startup founders and venture capitalists, local or international, to help them grow from A to B, B to C, and accelerate that growth because that also helps and help them accessing new markets and solving some specific challenges they have, access to different technologies, to talent, etc. The fourth function is building different communities. And those communities as code centers and code labs, and we have international communities in the Bay Area in Palo Alto, the Multiverse by Code, and then we have other programs that we do globally to help startups and ecosystem players, not only startups, explore the global ecosystem and learn from them, and also create new partnerships and bring them home. The fourth function is when we zoom out and look at the full ecosystem and identify different gaps and try to put together programs that help fulfill those gaps, whether it's access to financing or ease of doing business and government and policy regulation and other different initiatives. Zooming back, would focus on the sustainability and environment and food and security. We've recently worked with the Ministry of Environment and Water and Agriculture in a program we call Tech Champion, where so most of what we do is sector agnostic. Sometimes we work with the sector experts on a specific program. So we worked with the ministry on a program, the Tech Champion program, focusing on green tech, where we had 12 startups only focusing on the different sustainability goals, including food and water, and helped those startups accelerate them with international partners from the Silicon Valley. And that was a program for 3 months. And then the question is, what after those 3 months? Then we took most of them to be incubated for 2 months in the US. We helped them access new markets, and we took them to the different projects that help them access markets, as in NEOM, as in the Gidea, as in the different PIF Giga projects, as well as the Aramcos and the other key procurers of, and they that have similar.
Yeah, that's good. But we have one of the startups in the market, Tadweer company. So, Mr. Hesham, how do private companies and investors, startups, help in growing circular economy projects, especially in food and water security? And also, how can partnerships and collaboration across sectors bring more funding and innovations?
Funding is the beautiful word for all entrepreneurs. Let's talk about the challenge again. We used to talk about food and water security as a challenge. However, I believe it's a missed opportunity. Let's have an example from US, a startup called Divert. Divert used to transform the food waste into biogas. It has been backed by a VC, I think with a round with 100 million, something like that. Then it has been acquired by another company. Last year, they signed an agreement with the US government with $1 billion to cover all the US with its small units of food recycling. In our case, alhamdulillah, we had a fund from RIYADH, Aramco, when we started our startup. And we're in the stage of growth by using, again, small units in rural or other cities in order to increase the amount of food recycled. By the way, the recycled food in Saudi Arabia, although all these figures and waste, can you suggest what percentage that has been recycled? Among 13 million ton.
30?
It is less than 1%. So it's still a blue ocean. We're talking about, although it has a lot of challenges, a lot of regulations need to be developed, but it's still a blue ocean in that area. In the past years, we've seen significant activities within VCs, platforms, angel investors. But honestly, for me at least, I know only one VC which is specialized in green tech. Of course, you as a VC or as an investor, you don't have to be specialized in green tech, but these types of startups working in food, working in green, working environment, I believe still it's a blue ocean.
Yeah. So I have a question for Mr. Hassan. What the role do partnership between innovation hubs and agriculture businesses play in creating innovative solutions?
It's extremely important for the innovation hubs to be connected with the end user. In our case, which is the farmers or the corporate farmers, because what we've noticed in many years, at least in the recent years, that we have a lot of entrepreneurs, innovators who come up with great ideas, but when you come to the application in real life, it doesn't work. So it's very important that the part of the training of the innovation hub to be linked with an end user, so that the entrepreneur who's working or who's coming up with the innovation has something that is focused toward the end user, so that we can ensure that this is a successful, has a lifeline to applicable application use cases, and also to assist them in selecting the right technologies that they need to be focusing on in building their, at least at the MVP, the minimum viable product. This is a gray area today that I think all innovation hubs should focus on, along with the end users, stakeholders, so that there is there's saving of resources, there's saving of time, and also saving of ambitions, because it's very hard for an entrepreneur who works all the way or works outside the ecosystem through a VC or a funder to come up with a product at the end of the time that is not applicable or not scalable. So as Mr. Mohammed mentioned, it's important to be in that ecosystem of the incubator so that he understands the market, he understands the end user, and understands the scalability. It's equally important to understand the end user, the use cases, and to ensure that whatever technology he's working on has a grassroots to be applicable on the field and by the end users.
Yeah.
Can I, sorry?
Yes, you can.
Well, thank you. I think we need to have what we call it public-private synergy.
Yeah.
Where I remember an example in Bangladesh, in the field of food recycling. The land has been granted by the government, and they were involving also the NGO to hire needy people and people in the rural to work in the factory of recycling, and it has been operated by the private sector. So they create a very good model where all these sectors work together to achieve the goal.
Yeah, I was going to ask my fellow panelists, now in the last maybe year and a half or 2 years with the generative AI disrupting a lot of industries. And we're looking at it from like a more wider angle. I think being in the business, looking at your P&L and looking how to grow this business and seeing generative AI and so what is the applications of generative AI in the food and water security, in the recycling, and how do you see that going forward? How do you capture data? How do you utilize it to grow?
I think we have now a lot of areas for capturing data. I think the challenge right now is how to process this data, because I, as a farmer, I generate a lot of data. My challenge is how to clean it, process it, put it in a structured way so that I can utilize it in my machine learning models and and at the end get to the AI optimization. So this is now, I think, where the industry is stuck at. Our data, especially in this part of the world, is unstructured, is scattered, and this is where we rely on the government bodies to put a framework for the gathering of the data, the cleaning of the data, and putting strategies so that in the future remain accessible to us. But on my data alone, I'm not able to build an effective model. To build an effective model, I need to have access to all the data that is available in this region so that we can utilize it efficiently and build models that are applicable for our particular environment, particular conditions, and production ways.
Okay. And I think data privacy is the major issue when you think about innovative solutions, because when we want to use AI applications, we have to have a good databases and data sources. So where we can share these data sources when we think about the data privacy. So this
that's
is
why I said it needs to be
challenge.
with. That's why I said it needs to be with a regulatory body so that we can ensure that. Because I will not be comfortable sharing my data as long as with somebody else at this stage or competitor or whatever. But if we have that data in a structured manner with a government entity or with a regulatory authority, and then we can have access to it to train our models,
Yep.
without getting into the details that this is my data or his data. That way we can train our models towards more optimized results
And share it.
on local readings, which is very important.
Yeah.
We have an example of using data. Our trucks, which used to collect the raw material, we use the data in order to optimize and to reduce the time and the cost of the route of the truck itself. So we reduce the time, and we used to we used it more efficiently in order to increase the number of spots where we can collect the raw material using the data.
That's great. So, as we close this sessions, I would like to thank our valuable speakers for sharing their experiences and insights. And also, it's clear that incubators and accelerators as entrepreneurship platforms are not just tools for economic growth, but also key enablers for sustainability and food and water security. Thank you for your attention, and enjoy the rest of Sustainability Innovation Week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.